Good afternoon. Welcome to Zambian Voices, an online conversation that highlights Zambian citizens who are working to improve their nation and the well-being of their fellow citizens. Over the past months, it has been my pleasure to speak with a wide variety of Zambians and share information and insights about health, education, entrepreneurship, democracy and human rights, and governance initiatives. As you all know, Zambia's national elections are approaching in August of next year. And while August may feel like a long ways off, a critical first step is happening right now. It requires the urgent action of all of you watching today, and that action is registering to vote. If you don't register to vote now, you will not be able to vote next August. Zambia is updating its voter roll, which means even people who've registered and voted in the past need to re-register to vote in 2021. And for this reason, I'm very glad to have a special guest on this episode of Zambian Voices who can talk to us about how to register, where to register, and why it's so important to do so within the next month and a half. Today, I'd like to welcome Patrick Nshindano, Chief Electoral Officer of the Electoral Commission of Zambia. Welcome, Patrick. It's a pleasure to have you join us today.
Afternoon. Hi, David. It's a pleasure to have me, and thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the platform being provided to us.
Wonderful. Thanks. Now, Patrick, you have a very important job, and it's a tough one. The ECZ has the awesome responsibility under the Zambian Constitution to conduct and manage the country's elections, including the voter registration process. Can you tell us who is eligible to vote in the upcoming elections, and why is it so important for people to register?
Yeah, thank you so much. Again, like I earlier indicated, we welcome the platform that has been provided to us by the American people. We don't take it for granted, and indeed the partnership. We are just, again, from launching a partnership under the UNDP, and also the contribution, part of that is coming from the US government and the US citizens for that matter. So we are quite grateful for that support. Coming to the topic at hand, in terms of who's eligible to vote, according to the Constitution of Zambia, it requires that one has to be a citizen of Zambia. And that entails that you must be a holder of a green national registration card. And in addition to that, you must be 18 years of age and above. And in this instance, for registration purposes, we have a cutoff period. Because the polls are in 12th August, and the certification of the voters roll will be on 9th May. So everybody that will be able to turn 18 years of age by 9th May 2021 will be eligible to vote. So that is our target audience currently. And based on estimates, that accounts for almost 8.8 to 9 million Zambian citizens who should be able to register to vote in the 2021 elections.
Wonderful. Now, I understand that registration officially starts on October 28th, which is very, very soon. Is that correct? And what are the steps that someone needs to take in order to register?
Thank you. Yes, indeed. Registration commences 28th, which is next week. Very, very short time remaining before we commence the exercise. In terms of what is required, first one is to appreciate the modalities that are in place. We have 3 modalities for registration purposes. One is the pre-online voter registration. The pre-online voter registration is simply a vehicle, a mode, and as it indicates, this is pre-registration. One submits their details that is required. These are things like your name, your NRC number, and so on. And you also upload your NRC. This is your ID. As per law, you are required to be a Zambian citizen, a holder of a green national registration card. And thereafter, you'll be required now to present yourself before a registration officer for us to be able to capture your biometrics and indeed verify that, yes, you are the individual that did undertake the pre-online registration, and you'll be issued with a new voter's card. That's the first one. The second one is the mobile registration, and the mobile registration is going to be tailored or going to focus on our polling stations. Currently, we have 8,999 polling stations across the country. And this is the one that commences on the 28th. The pre-online registration is currently running, and I would encourage every citizen to take advantage of that. The mobile issuance commences next week on the 28th, and it's going to be across the country in all the 10 provinces of Zambia. And this will mirror basically our electoral boundaries. This is the polling stations. Then we also have the static registration. So the static registration, this is where now we are going to establish district registration centers. For those that don't want to go to the mobile issuance, they can go now to the static centers that will be placed in all district centers for them to be able to register. And in all these two processes, what is required is the same. You basically present yourself, and you need to have your green NRC. That's it. And you indeed make sure that you're 18 years and above, and you'll be registered as a voter, and you'll be able to participate in the 2021 elections.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for clarifying that, Patrick. Now, how will someone know where a particular registration center is and the dates and time it's open? I mean, and what do people need to bring? You mentioned that before, but what do they need to bring when they come to register?
Yeah. Firstly, I think, like I earlier said, when coming to register, make sure you come with your NRC, because that's the ID. That is more like the silver bullet, as they say. Without that, you won't be able to register, because that is what is going to identify you that, one, you're a Zambian citizen. Two, that you're 18 years and above, and you qualify according to the law. In addition to that, when it comes to knowing where the centers are registered, we are going to issue out a deployment schedule. And in all the media, both private and public, that will show where the centers are located. This is for mobile issuance purposes. And indeed, the static one, that will also be done for the public to be able to know. But we're also going to deploy different channels of communications to reach out to the general public, including traditional leaders, voter education facilitators, among the many channels that we are going to utilize. And we encourage citizens to be on the lookout and identify these different channels of communication. If they're unable to find that information, we'll also place it on our platform, starting the website, our social media, which is Facebook, and indeed Twitter, so that they can be able to find this information and access this. And for those that are going to do the pre-online registration, we also have these downloadable PD platform. PD listings, so they can be able to download the PD, and that's polling districts and polling stations. They can download that. But also, if you're doing your registration, we have Google Maps embedded in the system. So it can be able to, if you don't know which polling station, and this is very common, somebody will not be able to know the name of a polling district or polling station. And with Google Maps, it will be able to tell you the nearest where you can be able to vote, and you just click on it, and there you go. You'll be able to know, and from there you can also map it up for you to get going to your nearest polling station. So all those channels, in addition to partnerships with the media, civil society, and indeed yourselves, we hope that the general public will be well informed come 28th next week.
Wonderful. Now, I want to make sure I understand, Patrick, and everybody who's listening does. So if somebody already registered and voted in the past, and even if they have a voter's card already, do they still need to go to register again?
Yeah, thanks, David. That's a very, very important question, and one that as a commission, we're quite worried about, because the tendency is that when one is registered, and rightfully so, people relax and will not be able to go and register. This time around, we are saying that every eligible Zambian, and this is why we are talking about the estimates of 8.8 to 9 million as per national statistics. This includes both the first-time voters and those that are already registered. So every citizen needs to go and register. And there are a number of reasons to that, which I can delve into in more depth, but some of those are before the courts. So I will minimize getting depth in terms of the reason behind that. But it was necessary that we do that. Among the aspects that we are trying to achieve is to ensure that we enhance the credibility of the register, enhance security features of the register, clean up the register in terms of removal of deceased persons, but also take into account concerns that were raised by stakeholders, starting with our political parties themselves, and indeed observer missions. And of course, not forgetting new boundaries, electoral boundaries. We did undertake delimitation exercise as a country, and this covered a wide range of parameters, starting from constituencies to wards, polling districts, polling station, including renaming and shifting of some of these polling stations. So the parameters that are on the current old register, when you compare to the parameters that are prevailing on the ground, they are not the same. And the possibility of one being differentized, if nothing is done about that, is extremely high. And we might have a huge number of people not being able to vote if we don't do what we are doing currently as a commission, but also remove the risks that are associated with having such a huge number of deceased persons on the register, where we estimate over 1.4 million are still on the register because of the weak civil registry system that we have as a country. So among other reasons, so it's important and imperative that every citizen, whether registered or a first-time voter, go and register as we commence this exercise.
Great. Well, thank you. I think that is so important. And like you said, it really is critical that citizens around the country know this. And frankly, it strikes me, Patrick, that there's kind of two steps that are necessary in this process. All of you, your team, and you are getting ready to work you're working super hard, I know, to be prepared to register everyone. But then we need to make sure that there's information and that all of us as citizens and partners in the country, we share that with our family, our friends, our communities, people back in the provinces where we come from. People need to share that information so they know they have to go register. So I think it's the responsibility of all Zambians to help pass that word, don't you think?
Very true, very true. And this is where we are saying partnerships are critical. Like we always say, voter registration is a two-way relationship. One, it's about the commission being prepared and being able to do its part. The other is about citizens turning up to be able to register. And we're calling on all stakeholders, including political parties, to come on board and partner with the commission for this very important exercise. Because we can't have mixed messaging going out at this particular point in time. The period we have is extremely short for us to undertake this exercise, and later on to basically conduct the polls 12th August. We are running out of time, and we need to ensure that we have concerted effort in ensuring that we uphold our much cherished democracy as a country. And we hope that all stakeholders will be able to come on board. And I hope that even those that are watching us now through your families, extended families, you'll be able to spread the word and ensure that you register, take advantage of the different platforms that are available, and ensure that you register. Come 2021, 12th August, you'll be able to exercise your constitutional right to choose your leaders of choice.
Fantastic. And like you said, Patrick, we're really committed as partners to do what we can to help spread the word. So we're trying some different things in terms of public service announcements and others to complement your efforts. Let me ask a question about, I know that there's biometric data that's collected, during the registration process. And some people may wonder, what are the legal provisions to guarantee protection of that data?
Great. Firstly, I think it might interest you to note that government actually did undertake a government gazette in terms of the standards for collection of biometrics, and that every institution should be able to abide to that. And before long, you'll be able to see that as a country, we are moving to the one card system, where we'll be utilizing one card for different purposes, be it your voting, your national ID, and indeed your driver's license, and many other aspects. And that is already in process for those that might be familiar under the INRIS project that is sitting under the Ministry of Home Affairs. Part of that includes the issue of protection of data and privacy. On the part of the Commission, we are guided through the Electoral Process Act, and there are regulations for the collection and the parameters for use of biometric data. So I must really confirm to the public and indeed build confidence that this is information that will not be abused, as the Commission has always done, even with the other data that is bestowed upon us, and will be used for the intended purpose with a much needed privacy and much needed integrity when it comes to the protection of data and handling of data. And it's something that we take extremely seriously as a commission. And this is why you find that even when it comes to management of data, this data is solely managed by the commission. We have our own independent saver. This is not hosted by anybody else. This is managed by the Commission to ensure the integrity of the data that we collect, but also the use of it. Once we are done with that, we can have a credible register of data, and one that really uh, brings confidence. And this is why I did talk about the enhancement in security features. One of it is this capture of biometric data for us to help us in terms of cleaning, removal of multiple registration through the deduplication process, and just to bring that integrity that is required to a register, because there's no two persons with the same biometric, but it's possible to have two persons with the same names, two persons even with the same NRC number. That does happen, but there's no some person with the same, two persons with the same biometrics. So that would bring about a lot of integrity on the part of the register, even as we compile and finalize it.
Wonderful. Well, Patrick, I really want to thank you for joining us today. I must say, I very much appreciate your hard work and dedication of you and others on the team at ECZ, what you're doing to support Zambian democracy. I was here before. This is my second time serving in your country as a diplomat, and I was here in 2015 and 2016. And I know of the very important role that the Commission has played in working for free and credible elections to take place. We know you're working hard to bring about that result again. And I know you personally have a long background in civil society and a deep commitment to these issues. So thank you. You know, I must have a personal word if I can. You know, I'm a big sports fan and I used to be a sports writer. So I always think about sports. But, you know, I sometimes think that your job is like being a referee in a big match, because you've got the teams, they're going to play, the stakes are high, but, you know, no one likes the referee, right? And so you play a critical role to make sure the rules are followed and there's a level playing field on the pitch. So I just really want to say a big thanks, because, you know, if the referee, it's essential, the referee does the job. And I just appreciate that dedication, because whether you're a fan of sports or politics, it's essential that we rely on you. And I was thinking maybe I should have brought you a referee shirt to give you as a present today.
That would have been great, David. But there's always next time.
Yeah, exactly.
And allow me to also extend thanks to you and indeed the American people, first and foremost, for the contribution. Like I said, we were launching today the basket fund, and the American people have, again, generously contributed to that basket. But
Yeah,
also
well,
for the partners beyond that. We are quite grateful, even for you being proactive to see how can you work with the Commission in publicity, in sensitization, but also in any other areas that we might need technical support. And just to reassure the public there, one of the things that we suffer from as a Commission is a lot of mistrust and perceptions out there. Just to reassure that the Commission really means well, and everything that we are doing is aimed at bringing about a credible election. We do a lot of reviews. When we had the 2016 elections, we did retreat to say, what were the issues that were raised in 2016? How do we ensure that we best resolve those issues so that we can best referee, to use your term, best referee the next coming elections, which is in 2021. And a lot of what we are doing currently is as a result of that. But also, I think one of the key issues is that the environment we are operating now has not helped much in terms of the COVID. And it's created a lot of uncertainty in a number of areas, both supply chains, but also in the conduct of electoral processes themselves. Because we needed to now go back and say, how do we do this without escalating the problem, but also ensuring that that which we need as a commission to do our mandate as per the constitution is done well, that meets the aspirations of the Zambian people. And this is what we are striving to. And we expect that every citizen can work with us, and we'll try and ensure that we dialogue where there's need and provide as much information as possible. And where there are concerns, stakeholders, please, the Commission remains open to come through and share those concerns. Where we can clarify, we'll clarify. Where we need to be able to resolve those issues, we'll be able to attempt to ensure that those are resolved. Come 2021, we can be able to deliver a credible elections that meets the aspirations of our people. And that's the objective of the Commission.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Patrick. I've served 30 years as a diplomat, and the last decade mostly around Africa and Sudan, here in Zambia, Nigeria, South Africa, and back here.
Thank you.
And I just want to say that, that ECZ has a strong reputation on the continent. And I know people from other countries come here to check with you and consult. You have a tough job, but I appreciate your hard work, your dedication, and I want to say a big thanks from us as cooperating partners to you personally and to your other colleagues who work so hard and so dedicated to make this process go forward. I think as we highlighted today, it's so critically important right now. The biggest task at hand is voter registration. And we need to get the word out there so citizens of Zambia step forward, all 9 million of them, and step up to the plate and say, we need to be registered and let's go do it. So I think that's just critically important. So I want to thank you so much. I want to encourage all our viewers to exercise their democratic rights to participate in the electoral process. And as Patrick and I said, pass the word to your friends and your neighbors and fellow Zambians and share our program today. We've been very fortunate to have a very in-depth overview from you, Patrick, and you've really shared so much. So, voting is fundamental to democracy. And as your founding father, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, has taught us, one nation, one Zambia. And that means everyone has to vote too. So take care, everyone. Thanks, Patrick.